Hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and I am here with a group of brilliant football minds based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are here to make you guys some money. Or maybe make you laugh, but we will.
Didn't realize you were bringing props. My bad.
Predict the NFL slate for Week 13 here. Every single game starting Thursday night all the way to Sunday night. We'll go around. We'll ask the guys how they're feeling right now. Around to my left or whatever, Mr. Most Days Off, Miles Francis. How was last week's football for you, buddy?
I missed the Sport Bet It podcast, so I had no idea where to put my money. I couldn't. It was terrible. I had no idea how to enjoy football because there's nothing at stake.
It is a little bit more fun when you do have a little bit of a penny involved in it. Ryan Perrio, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Hopefully this week my picks will get you the ability to put some coins down in those Salvation Army kettles with authority.
No, dude, they're pushing for dollars now. They don't want coins anymore. They want bills, bro. It's inflation is crazy.
Jeepers creepers. These Salvation
They can have
Army
all my
people.
bills if they want them. I got a house note they can take.
Speaking of which, been making us a lot of money. NFL Insider. James, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Had a fun experience of watching all the games on my phone while road tripping in Washington from Seattle to Leavenworth, both to and from. So Thursday night and Sunday night, I got to watch it in the back of a car, which I think actually might be the most entertaining road trip thing to do. Just watch football in the back of a car. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I think I might be doing that this weekend. Speaking of which, we will not be live streaming Sunday or Monday because I will be out of town. Going down to Austin, so I will be watching Red Zone in the back of a car somewhere, hopefully trying to figure out some content to put out. And we will be live Thursday for the Seahawks and the Cowboys game, so watch out for that as well. Yep, I'm looking forward to Red Zone road trips. Hopefully I can make Natalie drive. Anyways, let's get started here and talk about...
I feel like if you just watch while driving the first leg, she will immediately take over that task.
just as soon as you get on the highway, open the iPhone and just have video loading.
No,
that
she
15-minute window between leaving Dallas and going to Buc-ee's would be the perfect window to do that, actually. That would be like 15 minutes where you're not too dangerous. You get to Buc-ee's and she's like, okay, no, I'm driving now. Thank you.
Yeah,
go get a beer. You might as well. You're not going to see her again.
So I actually have tried this already, and she just takes the phone from me. It's a bunch of bullshit. So,
crafty girl.
Spy versus spy kind of action here.
I'll just make her drive. Anyways, we are going to talk about Thursday night football. The Seattle Seahawks against the Dallas Cowboys. The game will be in Dallas, Texas, as I'm pulling up the gambling lines right now. The Cowboys, they have a guy in Deron Bland. He's got 5 pick sixes, which is an NFL season record. And he did it for real because he did it before week 14, right? There was an interview that DK Metcalf did, Seattle Seahawks superstar wide receiver. And he mentioned that when he found that out, he was like, damn, I don't have that many touchdowns. So Deron Bland has more touchdowns this season than DK Metcalf. Kind of crazy to think about. The Dallas Cowboys have combined score of their last 3 games of 127-37. You know, those teams, maybe not the best teams in the world, but that's impressive to do that to other professional athletes. The Seattle Seahawks are coming off of a Thanksgiving Day ass whooping, 31-13 to the 49ers. The Seahawks are getting 8.5 points in Dallas. I think that line is just about right. If you forced me to bet anything, I would have to take the over in this game because I think the Seattle Seahawks can score, and they may also just throw some more interceptions, which also helps the Dallas Cowboys score. I don't see this game being a real slow ground and pound game. I can see a lot of fireworks and explosives, but that is just a lean for me, and we are going to move this man up the ladder because I love to hear what he says. We're going to hear from Mr. James on the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think about this game, buddy?
Yeah, as Creed once said, can you take me higher past a place where overs cash? I think the over in this one is his bet, and I really want to see a lot of points here on Thursday night as compared to last week's Thursday night, which had a lot of points, but disappointing.
Disappointing points for some people. Really fun points to watch for other people. James has taken the over 46.5. Ryan Perrio, what are your thoughts?
It's the only thing that makes any kind of sense on this game. I would be willing to say to Mike McCarthy, hey, how about put Duran Bland on some offensive plays? Because that last pick six that he made some moves to get to the end zone. It wasn't just a straight shot. He had to dodge two people and spin out of a tackle. So I would be looking to maybe get him the ball on offense, maybe have a little double duty going there for gadget player two. But yeah, the over is really, I think it's going to be, depending on if their running back is back, Walker. If Walker is healthy, then this will be an absolute shootout, and I would take the over as well.
Okay, so that's another over recommendation for Ryan Perro. Just a lean for me. Miles, where are you at, buddy?
I both like the over and feel like the Dallas Cowboys at home, even as not a Cowboys fan, I feel like they're going to just run away with this game. I maybe there's going to be high scoring on both ends. Maybe I'm just feeling a little deprived because I wasn't here last week, but I'm going to go ahead and no-brainer. The Dallas Cowboys covering an 8.5-point spread. No problem. And the over combined with it.
Holy shoot.
Lee moly.
Let's
an
go.
Over recommendation, no-brainer. Dallas Cowboys blowout on Thursday night. Boy, I sure hope not, but the Seahawks have been blown out recently, so I guess that wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world.
The Cowboys are also just ridiculously better at home. Dak is more comfortable. I don't know what it is, but they just, on paper, they just do so much better in their home stadium.
You are not wrong. I think a lot of statistics would prove that out, at least recently this season. Moving on to the Sunday games. Miami Dolphins at Washington. Of course, we just saw the Dolphins lose Jalen Phillips to the pretty kind of gruesome Achilles injury. I mean, all Achilles injuries are gruesome, but I can't remember one that was that obvious. Maybe it's just because Jalen Phillips' calves are gigantic and you can see him a lot better because he's shredded. But I can't remember a more obvious Achilles rupture as of recently where you're just like, yep, definitely an Achilles, like no question whatsoever. In other news, McDaniel, in an interview, when asked what their fans should expect coming from Miami to Washington, where this game is played, he said, watch out for stink bugs. And he was entirely serious. That's just what he said. Don't step on him. So there's also that. Commanders are coming off of a 3-game losing streak, including another Thanksgiving Day ass whooping and another loss to the Giants 2 weeks ago, if you remember that. So Commanders not looking great. Sounding like they're going to get a new head coach next year. Probably going to be Bill Belichick. If I had to guess, the gambling lines on this game, the Miami Dolphins are 9.5-point underdogs in Washington, where the stink bugs live. The over-under is 50.5. I have no leanings any direction. James, what do you think?
Yeah, this one's going to be a stinker. Mike definitely got that one right. No interest in this game. If there's a prop bet on whether Mike McDaniels will stand near a heater again, I'll take that if he's going to keep wearing the 3/4 length joggers. But
hey, man, he's cold, but he's winning.
He's cold, but he's winning. That was a great clip.
Yeah, I am here for the clips. If that's all we get out of this game, I'll be happy about it. But it feels like, yeah, this is going to be not such a fun thing to watch. Ryan Perrio, what are your thoughts on this game?
I too also pass. I would say look for props involving like Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, like Dolphins players scoring touchdowns. Those will be inviting props probably to this game, as it's going to probably be get right for Miami just to kind of basically, hey, let's go hammer this team and get everything right. Ron Rivera's a lame duck head coach. He knows it. They know it. I think your assistant in Detroit, Ben, is going to be the guy that takes this job.
Yeah,
because it's got a steady quarterback, and I think he has the pieces here to start the same kind of offense he's running in Detroit.
Yep, I kind of agree, and they seem to kind of have a quarterback there too. So that's a pretty enticing head coaching position, especially after all the draft picks that they're going to be able to utilize and kind of build around a new head coach in this offseason. Miles, what do you think about this one?
I think it is an absolute no-brainer that Mike McDaniel is a gem. He's a gem. He is
really
the best coach in the NFL by far. His clips are amazing. I find myself locked in Instagram reel after Instagram reel of just Mike McDaniel, just saying Mike McDaniel shit, and I feel like that's a productive use of my time. I think you should avoid betting this game at all costs because there's just a lot happening there that is not where I'd want to put money, but if I can get like an alternate commentary, like I know at like NASCAR races, you can like listen to like the drivers talk with their pit crew and stuff. I just want a direct line into Mike McDaniel's headset. That's how I would like to spend the approximately 3 hours it takes to enjoy this football game.
Yeah, we did have a Instagram reel, or no, a YouTube short that got some pretty good numbers where Thomas Gunter was mimicking or predicting what McDaniel was saying as we had the TV volume turned down.
Yeah, I remember there's like no cap, bro.
Yeah, this Miami Dolphins team is no cap bussin', and they are full on sus. Like, yeah, it was brilliant out of him in the moment.
Yeah.
And it did really good numbers. So I think you're not alone, Miles, in kind of what your thoughts are on Coach Mike McDaniel over there in Miami. Moving on to our next game, the Detroit Lions are going into New Orleans to play the Saints. In this one, the Lions are coming off of a disappointing loss to the Green Bay Packers in Detroit on Thanksgiving night. Another Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving night ass whooping, 1 out of the 3 that we saw. They're still 8-3. They're still first in their division. Their defense is the issue here. They are giving up points kind of similar to last season. Without CJ, this team has not been able to perform quite as well as they would like to have coming off of a disappointing defensive season last year. The Saints are coming off to a loss from the Falcons where Bijan Robinson ran all over them. Luke Hubbard said the Saints, when they hit the red zone, are lost. That's a quote from a blogger whose blog I read. He had it out Tuesday, so shout out to him. And I have to kind of agree with him there. I think the Lions run up and down this field against this Saints defense. This Lions offensive line had their worst performance of the season on Thanksgiving, and I do not expect them to do that again. The Lions are going to steamroll over the Saints. I'm taking the Lions -4. That's going to be my best bet of the card. James, what do you think?
Is this not the Jamal Williams revenge game? If they want to find the red zone and figure it out, maybe they should start using it. I'm totally with you. Lions -4. Let's roll. I don't take negative lines very often, so that's
yeah, especially on the road, right? But it just feels like this is the Lions spot, and Dan Campbell.
They've also got 3 extra days of practice. Thanksgiving games, so that really helps.
Yeah, they're going to be well rested, and they're healthy. Like the offensive line just sucked, but they're healthy, and that's really all that's important. And this Saints team is just not on the level of the Lions, in my opinion. Ryan Perry, what are your thoughts?
Give me the Lions and give me the over. I think this is going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs coming out party game. I think it's going to be a basic just beat down. I think another lame duck head coach and Dennis Allen basically just. He's also on the chopping block. I think he's done nothing but just regress. He's missed on multiple draft picks. they're running on empty. They have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and then a bunch of guys. So give me Detroit and the over. I think it's going to be a heavy scoring affair, and it's just going to keep going.
Yep, I agree. Miles, what do you think?
I feel like Jared Goff playing on the road has been sketchy this year, but I also feel like the last 2 weeks he hasn't really brought the home team Jared Goff. I feel like this is going to be a balance out. I feel like you're for a lot of the reasons you guys already mentioned, extra rest days, a coach that I feel like has the ability to really fire a team up, a quarterback who does have the ability to get there, and a running back or two running back studs really. The Detroit Lions should absolutely mop the floor and easily cover a 4-point spread.
So we're all in agreement there on the Lions. And to your point, Miles, what I'm thinking with Goff is like, yeah, he's definitely due for a bounce back. He's not been great as of late for the Detroit Lions. But at the same time, I really think they're just going to pound the rock with Jahmyr Gibbs until they open up. And then they're going to hit him deep with J-Mo, who's been coming on strong. To Ryan's point, betting the over. I mean, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, that Lions offense is explosive. And the defense is their really only weakness. And I think their offense matches up extremely well with David Montgomery, of course, too, with all due respect to him, kind of 1A, 1B over there in Detroit. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs' time is coming, and it is coming very, very soon in Detroit. And hopefully we will get to see it at noon this Sunday. Moving on to the LA Chargers taking on the Patriots. So this game, the big questions for this one is or who will be the quarterback for the Patriots next season? I don't think it's Zappy. I don't know if it's Mac Jones. We don't even know who's going to be the starting quarterback next season, or we don't even know who's going to be the head coach next season. Sorry, I was distracted. My dog was drinking my coffee. The Chargers are 4-7, surprising record for them this season. I can't believe Staley's still employed, but they can beat bad teams. They ran over the Jets a few games ago, 27-6, 3-game losing streak. The teams they lost to are the Lions in a close game, the Packers in a close game, and the Ravens in a 10-point game. So they're a little bit better than I think we're kind of giving them credit for. Those are 3 tough losses to 3 really, really good teams. And that's why I kind of tend to agree with this number. I think the Chargers go into New England and kind of take care of business, win by about a touchdown. And the over-under is indicating that's going to be like an average game, 40 points. So I'm staying off this game entirely. I think the number's spot on. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I was taking a look at some of the weather. You see here, it's going to be 60% precipitation, as a tough word to say, and 47 degrees. Good game for the Patriots here. Chargers on the road, playing this game at 9 a.m. local time. I have never been more tempted to take the Patriots here. I've never been more tempted, but I'm not doing it. I'm very close. If this line moves a half point, I'm taking it just because rain, Chargers on the East Coast. I don't think it's going to go that well. I wouldn't take the over on this one. Probably leaning the under here, if anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was kind of surprised by how high it was, but at the same time, they're kind of predicting that Herbert's going to kind of roll in this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Ryan Perrio, what do you think is going to happen?
Just as a pass for me. None of these numbers look like enticing enough for me to actually put money on. I think Bill Belichick stays another year. I think that he's going to blame. I think he's going to blame Mac Jones. That's going to be like his last stand is whoever this rookie quarterback is. And I think maybe his GM duties will get pulled is probably the worst case scenario.
Really?
I just don't see Robert Kraft like firing him. I think it's too sentimental at this point. It's a loveless marriage, but it's a marriage nonetheless. And so I think they're just not really tempted to try anything new and reboot the system.
I think they will have a mutual parting of ways. I think that's been speculated or reported by some beat writers or some sort of insiders. Who knows if it's true or not? But I really think that's what's going to happen. I don't see Bill Belichick being like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Just take away my GM duties. Like, I don't really need those anymore. And then just be cool with it. I don't see that in Bill Belichick. So that's why I don't think I think it's an all or nothing situation with him in New England. Miles Francis, what do you think?
I'm a little confused. I thought you guys said you got to watch football this weekend, but you clearly didn't see the Patriots lose to the New York Giants.
They're red hot.
The Chargers are going to crush. The Chargers are going to crush. I don't give a fuck about the weather or the sleep. I think that the Chargers could do blow until about 8:30 local time and still make it to the 9 o'clock local game and just run right the fuck over the Giants. Doesn't fucking matter. The New England Patriots, the Chargers, I got this game. They'll cover -6.
Chargers all day for Miles.
I would be fascinated to see a stat of just how many drops of just by conference, like division. Like if the AFC West is absolutely just demolishing drops between the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs receiving core, they've got to have a staggering number of drops in that division.
Yeah, divisional drop statistics. We got to get them. We got to find them. Moving on to the Arizona Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The game will be played in Pittsburgh. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray coming off of an injury, 3 games in, sort of trending in the right direction. First game, not great. Last 2 games, pretty okay. Had no interceptions last week. I think 2 touchdowns, but that could also just be more of a factor of who he was playing up against. The Steelers are 7-4, which they just fired their offensive coordinator, and they're 7-4. Like, when has that ever happened, right? When has a team been in 7-4, 6-4, and then being like, hey, pal, we're sick of your bullshit. Get out of town. They look a lot better last week without Matt Canada on the sidelines or up into the press box. The Ravens still have a little bit of a command on the division, but the Steelers are, with the rest of the division, kind of slacking with Joe Burrow and DTR and Mr. Massage up there, Deshaun Watson, out for the season. The rest of the calendar, the rest of the division is looking pretty light to them now versus a couple weeks ago. The real question is Matt Canada's absence going to make a massive difference in this game 2 weeks after? Is there still going to be passes over the middle? Are they going to let, Pickett call plays at the line? Is that something that's going to be allowed to happen? I don't know. The Cardinals stink, right? We know that for sure, even with Kyler Murray being a little bit better. And that's kind of what this line's indicating at 5.5 for the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. I think that's about right. The over-under is 41. If I had to lean in any direction, I would lean in the direction of the Cardinals just on the way they're trending. And maybe the Steelers have a little bit of a letdown game, but that is a soft lean for me, so I'm not going to recommend that. James, what do you think?
Yeah, it's been interesting. The Steelers looking fairly decent without Canada. I'm intrigued to see if this is 2 weeks in a row of good offense for them. I don't really have anything on this game except I've looked at the team total, and right now it's at 23.5 for the Steelers. I think that could easily hit the over there. I think again, it's a team traveling on the East Coast, and that is tough for these West Coast teams. So I think the Steelers are pretty much going to run away with this. I don't trust them enough to keep this out of 5.5, but I trust them enough to get 3 touchdowns.
Okay,
so that'd be my lean. I'm not taking it, but I think Steelers is definitely the consensus for me on this one. They're going to have a good game.
Got it. So James is leaning the team total for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ryan, what are you leaning?
I'm going to pass this, even though the Arizona money line does kind of tempt with that plus 200, just because I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers regressing a little bit. Like, the Bengals defense has been really underperforming. They've lost games to a lot of questionable teams and offenses. So I don't know if I will take that 400-yard performance with a little bit of suspect that maybe It was just the defense they were playing against. But I would, if anything, I would take the Arizona money line and maybe the under, or just for points. I think 41 is a pretty tall order for both of these teams. Even with a 400-yard offensive day in Pittsburgh, it was 16 points.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking in my head as James was setting up a team total over. He said 23. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of points for this. I mean, even without Matt Canada, that feels like a lot of 41 for both of these teams, because one of them could just lay an egg, right? And the Steelers could just dominate on defense. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Ryan. Miles, what do you think?
I'm leaning Pittsburgh covering a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I guess I would also lean towards the under. I realize that those two things don't go hand in hand, but Pittsburgh really does not have to score a lot to win this game by just a little bit here.
Yeah, okay, so that's a recommendation for Miles on the behalf of the Steelers. So you're kind of thinking that this Matt Canada curse is now off the team and they're just going to keep on rolling, huh?
Well, I think that something that no one mentioned that is a factor for the Steelers always is I've already praised how much I like Mike McDaniel, but Jamie, you and I have talked about Mike Tomlin might be the best coach in the NFL currently.
Yeah.
And he is so good about taking things like that and building a fire and keeping it churning and getting his guys motivating and really getting the best out of his players. And I could see that being a factor here. I don't think Arizona has the I just don't think they have as much as far as their organization goes. I actually grew up in Phoenix for a while and was an Arizona Cardinals fan at one point, and they've always just been like this sad tale of woes, especially going back to the Super Bowl where Arizona played Pittsburgh. If anything, that's another sign that this is not going to go the Cardinals' direction.
Yeah, the football gods are maybe against them, but yeah, that'll be a fun one for me to watch, I think. So I'm not going to bet on it, but glad you're kind of on the Steelers side there. The next game up on the slate, the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young are going to go into Tampa and play the Buccaneers. This is so this game was flexed out of 3:00 down to noon because it was originally listed at 3, and I'm like, man, that is a weird game to put at 3:00. So kind of glad that they did that. Anyways, moving back to the game, Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Panthers just fired Frank Reich, their head coach, fired by the owner, which I thought was something that was pretty interesting. That's usually something that's given the GM the opportunity to do and kind of the responsibility of doing that and managing that. Tepper over there, not very patient. And I don't know if this is a great business to be in if you're not patient. Frank Reich's had a tough run these past couple of years. And, as tough a run as you can have as a millionaire. Frank Reich has probably had it. The Buccaneers are one game back in the division. Despite it being on a 2-game losing streak, Baker Mayfield kind of challenging the boys, getting them all riled up by way of like the media or some quote that they found from him at practice. So there is maybe a little bit of Baker Mayfield juice coming to this game, but the line's kind of representative of that. Bucks are 5.5-point favorites at home against the Panthers. I think that line is exactly right. James, what do you think?
Yeah, David Tepper, hedge fund manager, how he got his money. That seems to be the new cool way to be a sports team owner. You'd think he'd have a lot of patience, but that job just means you're very good at collecting other people's money and investing it into other things, which usually always indicates returns because guess what? The things that you can buy at $100 million are a lot better than things you can buy with $20.
You don't say.
Anyway, side note on I don't like this game at all. I don't want to bet on it. I don't touch it. I feel very, very sad for Bryce Young that he's in the situation right now. Please, dear God, get him an offensive line. That's all I can ask.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think?
I think David Tepper misspelled his name. It's David Temper because it seems like he is absolutely like I really am intrigued by the coaching cycle when this comes in the off season, because I feel like the way he has handled his team has really kind of is going to really hinder his team to finding a real coach, because it's going to be very limited on who takes this job, because I think I think you've just basically said, hey, you know what? You can do your job as long as you tell me every step of the way how you're doing. And if I don't like it, then I'm going to fire you. And
Yeah.
I don't think very many head coaches, especially any with skins on the wall, is going to want to basically have to report to somebody that knows less than them about how they're doing and
Yeah.
expect them to. That's just mind blowing to me. I'm passing on this and echo James's sentiment. I feel for Bryce Young. I feel like he's a solid QB prospect, but you're basically hindering his, I guess, development by just basically shuffling in people in and out of your organization.
Yeah. Tough position for him to be in where he's at right now. But yeah, like you were saying about the head coach having to have a chat with the owner after every single week when he could be like watching film or spending more time, because he's got to prepare for that, right? He's not going to come in like empty-handed. He's spending hours of his time every single week trying to make his owner happy when he should be watching film, getting ready for next week. And it's in a industry where it's all about paying your dues, and the head coach by definition has paid his dues and earned his position, for him to be like, who's going to like sit down and talk to a fucking owner? I know, McDaniel ain't doing it. Dan Campbell ain't dealing with that bullshit. Like, how are you going to get a good head coach in your room when that's how you operate? So yeah, not a good sign over there. Miles, what do you think?
Not a good sign, not good football, not a good situation. Just nothing good can come of this. They might as well have just like rescheduled this one to 9 a.m. I know it's not overseas, but just put it on when no one cares. We all tune in at noon and 3 for the good football.
Yeah. I'm glad they put it at noon. Moving on to the next noon game on the slate, the Atlanta Falcons are going into New Jersey and playing the Jets.
Division leader Atlanta Falcons. Show some respect there, sir.
My apologies. My apologies. I will do better next time. So Aaron Rodgers reportedly on the Pat McAfee show running at over 8 miles an hour with 75% of his body weight in like a negative G, like treadmill situation. He kind of subtly bounced back at what Glazer reported. Glazer reported that even if the Jets are mathematically eliminated, Aaron Rodgers is still coming back this season, whether you guys like it or not. And Aaron was like, we have to be in it. He said it like 5 times. He's like, there has to be a reason for me to do this. But I think he will be back before they're ultimately mathematically eliminated. It'll probably be like a crazy situation thing, but he'll at least get a chance to walk out in the field. And once he walks out, I don't think anyone's taking the football away from him. On the other side, speaking of getting the football taken away from you, Arthur Smith, probably coaching for his job. They are coming off of a win. Again, the Falcons they are coming off of a win against the Saints. Like we said before, Bijan Robinson carried the ball for 16 carries for 91 yards, 3 receptions for another 32 yards, 2 total touchdowns, 1 through the air and 1 on the ground. So they're figured out maybe we give the ball to their best player. So that's a good thing to learn as a head coach. The Jets are getting 2.5 points at home against the Falcons, who just beat the Saints. I think they're going to pound the rock. I think the way this Jets defense operates is defensively through the air. I think the Falcons just might run the ball like 30 times this game and score 14 points, and that's probably all they're going to need to cover this 2.5. So I'm going to take the Falcons to cover 2.5 against the Jets. I believe my second road underdog that I'm recommending today, but lay off me. I don't care. I'm taking the Falcons here. James, what are you taking?
Do you forget that C.J. Mosley is playing for this New York Jets team, the same man who absolutely stopped Leonard Fournette when he was supposed to be on the Heisman tear and only held him to 27 yards in LSU's stadium? Sorry, Alabama reference of the day for you. I really, really like this. I like this Jets money line. I really do. I don't have it on my slate. I might be adding it after this. Plus 130 at home. They have 2 extra days of preparation for this. They've still got the idea of Aaron Rodgers coming back. I feel like that gives this team enough light. And if anything has been proven, it is the Falcons are atrocious at figuring out how to give their weapons the ball in the correct moments. Whether Bijan had a good week last week or not, it's proven over time that they're not very good at that. I like Jets plus 130 here, and I'm officially adding it. Plus 130.
Arthur Smith is a smart man. He figured out, he saw the error to his ways, and he's structurally changed the way he operates by giving his best players the football. He just snapped his fingers, just like when Matt Canada came from down the press box and the offense started to operate well all of a sudden, and then he got 2 games later.
Arthur Smith's best decision he made in life was being born the son of a billionaire. That's about it.
That is always a good move.
Damn, I should have done that.
Yeah, Miles, you're a fucking idiot. You should have definitely
dude.
Done that.
No brainer. No brainer.
No brainer for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but how do the Jets, you know,
Breece Hall. Just give the ball to Breece Hall. Have Breece Hall be the quarterback at this point. Fuck it. I mean, I think Zach Wilson should be back in there. I think you might see Zach Wilson back in there based on what I'm hearing and depending on how the first half goes. I think this Jets team can figure it out, and I truly think they could win this game. It'll be like 9-6, but
feels like we got some inside breaking news.
Yeah, I'm here. I think there's like a piece of paper with some weird writing on it just off frame from where Jay's
this is not a script game. This is not a script game, I swear.
But it sounds like you had it sounds like you said something that you knew, and you said it like you didn't know.
I highly believe that Zach Wilson will be put into the game very quickly, if not.
Interesting.
Okay, you heard it here first. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
I'll disagree on the Zach Wilson thing, but I do take the Jets. I think Tim Boyle did move the offense. I thought he got the ball to Garrett Wilson there late in that game really well. I think with a week of practice under his belt and a middling Falcons defense that they get the job done. The money line definitely piques my interest, and I think the Jets defense will basically hold Atlanta to nothing.
Well, they're going
Sauce Gardner is going to cover both Drake London and anybody else the Falcons want to put out that field.
Okay. Okay. Miles Francis, what do you think?
I think that Ryan and James are essentially Charlie Brown, and the Jets are Lucy just pulling the football out over and over. Like, no, this week, guys, this is the week.
Is the one.
The Falcons are that bad. Now, the Jets are terrible. They are absolute trash. I still cannot wrap my mind around how they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the one part of this that just
that's crazy.
Breaks my brain when I start to think about football.
Yeah.
I do think, Jamie, to some extent, you might have nailed the game plan there. The only way the Jets can score in this game is through an interception with their defense. If they don't throw the ball, they won't have the opportunity to get points on the board, and therefore a field goal is all the Atlanta Falcons have to pull off to cover this spread. I'm going to go Atlanta, and I would argue, I don't know what the under is right now. You just took it off screen. Whatever it is, I'm guessing there's a good chance I would bet on that too.
Pretty low. It's pretty low.
Interesting take there from Miles, who's been touting the New York Jets Super Bowl champions up until now.
They are going to be the Super Bowl champions, but not till Aaron Rodgers comes back.
I don't know how they're going to make it. They just get they get a commissioner exemption bid into the playoffs because they want to see Aaron Rodgers perform.
So
I guess
it's just going to have a release we're going to give the Jets a pass because Aaron had an owie.
What are all these trainers in the Denver sidelines doing with lead pipes out here? Just
yeah, no kidding. Moving on to our next game here, the Colts and the Titans. All right. Jonathan Taylor out with a thumb injury of some sort, but I read in a very, very interesting blog that the real thing that you need to be keeping your eye out for is nose tackle. Tier Tart from Tennessee on a contract year, looking to get paid. In his only game he missed this season was the only game the Titans gave up 100 yards rushing. He is a plug up the middle. He eats double teams, and he has 8 tackles for a loss this season, which is tied for 8th in the league for that amount of tackles for loss. He is, however, potentially in Mike Vrabel's doghouse, according to Titans sized on the internet. You can look it up. So there are reasons to watch this game, guys. So you do not need to gamble on it. And for that reason, I will not gamble on this game. The Tennessee Titans are 1-point dogs. The money line is even money for the Titans at home. I'm off of it. Maybe James is on something here. James, what do you think?
No. I don't know why Vrabel would put that guy in the doghouse, considering he is a man who once had to play on a Patriots team with Albert Hainsworth, who was basically taking naps on every play. So you think he would understand what a good nose tackle looks like? But here, no bet for me. But Mike Vrabel, what the hell? Play that man. Play the
That's
target.
just, to be fair to Mike Vrabel, that was just a report that I read on a blog called Titan Sized on the internet.
It's on the internet. It is true, Jamie. It's on the internet.
Ryan, what do you think?
Is that even 1 point even a spread? That's like a crack. That's like basically that's 2 pages stuck together. The spread is such a liberal term for this game. I'm passing on every piece of this. The AFC South outside of Jacksonville and Houston is absolutely just hard to watch. It's basically injury riddled and backups at every position, but somebody's got to win this game. Probably be the Colts, because Gardner Minshew is doing a yeoman's work out there, keeping their hopes alive in Indianapolis for now. But
yeah, they are, somewhat still in the hunt, I guess. Miles, what do you think?
I think that if you believe that the Indianapolis Colts are going to win this game, and I do, you have to believe they're going to cover a 1-point spread, so you might as well just go with it.
Okay, so Miles is thinking the Colts win this game just because Gardner Minshew magic.
Michael Pittman Jr. is on there. He's got that rookie that he's been real fond of throwing to. Honestly, Tennessee just hasn't done anything other than one game to prove. Very, very much like the New York Jets, actually, that just have that one game on the record where it's like, that's weird. They kind of have the opposite of that.
Interesting. Yep. Okay, so Miles is taking the Colts. Moving on to the next game, the Denver Broncos are playing the Houston Texans. I have my notes here, and they read, these teams are both 6-5, LOL. Which is kind of funny to think about. These teams, the Broncos and the Texans, are 6-5. The Broncos coming off of a big win against the Browns by way of knocking out backup quarterback DTR. Unfortunately, Joe Flacco didn't come in. PJ Walker came in. Myles Garrett also went down with a shoulder injury that game. Flacco wasn't even dressed to play. He was in his street clothes. The Texans are coming off of a heartbreaking loss to the Jags, which I will send over to Ryan Perrio, resident Texans insider, Texans analyst on the game cast here. What did you think about the Texans and the Jags game?
It was heartbreaking to watch. If it was a 57-yard field goal, we're going to OT. Unfortunately, we had a kicker that kind of just couldn't seal the deal for us. CJ Stroud's also a young QB, and he's going to learn the hard way that you can't hold the ball like that and clutch time like that. You've got to take the short yards.
Yeah. Disappointing, very much so. And the books are kind of predicting a bounce back game for them here. The Houston Texans are 3.5-point favorites at home. The over-under is 47, which is, also surprising high over-under. If you were to ask people, week 2 of the season what this over-under was going to be, I'm sure it was somewhere well within the 30s. Now all the way up to 47. We're going to see hopefully a shootout here in Houston. And I'm just going to sit back and maybe enjoy this game of 2 winning records going up against each other. It's been kind of surprising. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I was very shocked at how well the Broncos offense played. Definitely went up a couple pegs on my leaderboard. Russ might be not cooking, but he might be sizzling a little bit. Maybe pre-seasoning the meat before it goes on the oven or on the grill. But I really like this Broncos money line. Plus 165. If I had to guess what it was going to be before this week, I would have had it at 130. So I think there's value in that. I'm going to take the Broncos money line here.
So yeah, Broncos money line. You are a big fan of just betting that plus money line if you think there's like a 50% chance that it happens, and you're just grabbing a great value here. So I do appreciate and respect what you were doing as an individual. I'm just not super sold on the Broncos in a tough position. We might be seeing, a slight overreaction from some people coming off the win against the Browns. It might just be Browns might just be dead. Browns might just suck now. So I guess we're going to find out. And you think that the Denver Broncos are for real. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to find that out. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Texans and the under. I think this is going to be a low scoring affair. I think Denver's defense is going to show up, but I think Houston's going to do just enough to win the game. But I don't think it's going to be a 47-point game. I think last week, even with the Jaguars playing wide open as they didn't even reach their over at 48. So I feel like that the under in Houston is the bet for me.
Okay, so that's an under in Houston for Ryan Perrio. Miles?
This is an interesting game. I think it's fun that on paper, the next game we're going to talk about would arguably be the game of the week, the 49ers versus the Eagles. But I think this game is sneakily going to be the best game of the week. We got two teams that I know for certain, the Denver Broncos, when we were doing our early season power rankings, they made our top 5 at least once, if not more than 1 week. I believe the Houston Texans may have also started out there, and both teams have really turned things around. They're really cooking coming into this middle part of the season, going towards the playoff picture season, if you will. I'm excited to watch this game. I don't really feel that I would bet anything on this game just because at this point I'm still like processing how either of these teams are doing this. But it's fun to watch. I love enjoying it along the way.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to find out if they are for real. We've seen, shitty teams like this, like the Bengals in recent history, just kind of rise to the occasion kind of in the midpoint of the season. So maybe
for Houston specifically too, it's always interesting when an injury, in a weird way, I hate to say it, improves your team, but Dameon Pierce going down really opened the door for Singletary to kind of show out and show off. And man, he has been a top tier running back 3 weeks in a row now. And as much as I was really hoping Dameon Pierce was going to have a breakout season this season as a fantasy manager of his, Singletary has been the one that has really taken the shining.
Yeah, sometimes it does take a little nudge in the right direction. And hey, I try to talk you out of keeping him, but couldn't talk you out of it. Moving on.
I still got him in the 8th round. I still don't feel like it's the worst. But...
Yeah, I mean, you got an all right value, but I think I was trying to talk you into Freiermuth, which you probably would have dropped when he got injured. But anyways, moving on to what we were just kind of queuing up, the potential game of the week. The 49ers are facing the Philadelphia Eagles, a very interesting spread that I will get to in a second. This game's going to be awesome, right? The 49ers are on an absolute tear ever since getting healthy, and they beat some pretty decent teams, the Jags, the Buccaneers, and the Seahawks in their last 3 weeks. Combined score, all 3 of those games, 92-43. So 3 really good teams and kind of handled them with ease. The Eagles, on the other hand, also going through their own gauntlet, starting back with the Dallas Cowboys, win, Chiefs, win, Bills, win, and now they're facing the 49ers, and then they got the Cowboys again, and then they got the Seahawks. So the Eagles are going through quite a gauntlet, and they're 2-0 so far. So they are 3-0 so far if you count the Cowboys. So we'll see if they can continue doing that. Jalen Hurts, managers, this is an important game that you need the Eagles to lose. So Jalen Hurts plays in your fantasy football championship in week 17. So that is another big implication. in this game. I am a Jalen Hurts manager. However, I think I might not be able to play him in week 17 because he might be benched and they might have the 1 seed locked up in the NFC. And I respect the Niners a lot, but I don't think any team in the NFL this season should be a favorite at Philadelphia. That is rude to me. So this is my second best bet. This is the first time I have recommended 2 best bets, which is technically impossible, but I'm going to do it.
Not on this show. We don't set restrictions here.
Eagles plus 2.5. Parlay it with the Lions. You might as well take in all of that sweet money because these are 2 mortal locks, in my opinion. I'm taking the Eagles and the money, not taking the money line. James, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're probably going to see a pretty good pass rush against the Eagles, but that is an advantage for one man and one man only. His name is Devontae Smith. We call him the Slim Reaper. That man can get open in a phone booth. He's going to have a great game. Why are the Eagles not a favorite at home? Do people understand what people in Philadelphia are like? They're not nice people. That's not fun to be in that stadium at all. 130 is massive value. I think on paper this is a coin flip in my head, but 130 is just so much value. I don't know why the books are putting this out there. 130, grab it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you just grab it twice? Ryan Perrio, what are you grabbing?
I'm grabbing the Eagles with you.
Yeah,
I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a monster game on the ground. I think the pass rush is going to come at him and he's going to escape the pocket and do damage. I think there's been injuries with Fred Warner, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I was just they're talking about last season. I know the Niners are going to be angry about the NFC Championship game last year. I think it's going to be close. I think the Niners are going to come out hot, but again, just like the Bills last week, if they don't close that door in the second half, the Eagles are coming right back through it.
Yep, I agree. Mr. Miles, what do you think?
I think that you've got the only team in the NFL that has 10 wins so far in their very hostile home stadium. Frankly, this disrespect is the first time I think it's justified that the Philly fans should be lighting cars on fires right now. Like, what the fuck are you doing? This is a Philadelphia money line all the way because it's absolutely a coin flip game at best. And disrespect by whichever prominent sports betting app we're currently looking at.
Yeah, I don't think they're on an island either. It is a prominent sports betting app, and it does look beautiful. However, we all do feel that the Eagles should be disrespected, and that line's moving to 3. It looks like on this particular popular sporting app. So, man, oh man, I mean, the 49ers are great and they're healthy. I get it, but that line doesn't make sense to me. Moving on to the Rams. And the Browns. It'll be in LA. DTR, a lot of question marks for the Browns going forward. DTR is in concussion protocol. Myles Garrett said he couldn't lift his arm over his head in the game last week where he went down with an injury. He flew to LA to get a scan. So every Browns fan is like, why would you fly to LA? Like, they have MRIs in Cleveland. Like, why are you flying to MRI? You're flying to LA because you're expecting to get surgery on said shoulder after you get the scans, right? Nope, he's fine. It sounds like he's going to play. So roller coaster of emotions if you are a Browns fan, going from DTR's out, Myles Garrett probably out for season over, to maybe this defense can still carry the team. Who knows? Maybe the Broncos just had a great game against them, and DTR will figure it out. Doubt it. But that's what you can tell yourself as a Browns fan. The Rams, on the other hand, are on the quietest 2-game win streak in the NFL right now. They are 5-6 overall. They're still in the hunt, and they're 2-0 coming off of Stafford coming off of his injury. So it seems like everything's kind of just all magically back together, including last week where Stafford balled out, 75 completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Against the Cardinals, and an impressive win against the Seahawks in the week prior. The Rams are hot-ish right now, heating up for sure, and dangerous, and the spread's kind of indicating that. against still a good Cleveland Browns team, despite the injuries. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites at home, and I think that's exactly right. I'm not going to bet on this game. Relatively low over-under at 39.5. James, what say you?
Yeah, no, it's very. Hold on. Why is the clock stopped?
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's a power outage. Oh, when did that happen? Oh, in the Super Bowl? Because a man whose music I'm hearing, Joe Flacco, is coming back for this game. He's going to start. DTR is not going to start. Joe Flacco is going to start. The Cleveland Browns are going to be running a pro-style offense, chewing up the clock, absolutely shutting out the Rams. I grabbed him at plus 170. I don't care if Myles Garrett has no hands. That man can do a box jump that is 6 feet tall. He can jump up and just headbutt that thing out of the way, especially with Matthew Stafford's three-quarter arm slot. Good luck. I'm taking the Browns. This is a great line for the Browns. It's a script game of the week. They sent it to me ahead of time. Joe texted me this morning, said he was playing. He said, I don't even need you to have the script this week. I'm going to let you know in person. I'm playing. Joe Flacco starts. Cleveland Browns win.
You know what? If Joe Flacco starts, I'm in. I'm glad you reported that here first, that Joe Flacco will be starting for the Cleveland Browns. You know, there's a reason. I don't think he was brought in to potentially replace PJ Walker. I think he might have been brought in to potentially replace DTR, who's just clearly not ready. So glad to hear that. If that is the case, I'm going to probably take a tasty little look at that line when that is officially announced by the non-script writers. James, Ryan, what do you think about this one?
I'm too going with the Browns. That defense is just absolutely too good to allow the Rams to win that game. I think you can take Myles Garrett out of it. They still got an amazing linebacking and defensive end core that can get to the passer and cover down the field with Denzel Ward and company. Give me that's easy spread for the Browns. They've got a kicker that's been clutch in 2 weeks now.
Justin Hopkins, yeah.
Yeah.
So Ryan Perrio is taking the Browns as well. I'm a Browns fan. So why don't I believe? Maybe I've just lost too much money on the Browns already this season. Miles, what do you think?
I also am with, even if Flacco comes back, do we really feel like that's going to be enough to turn that offense around instantaneously? Yes. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe my opinion that Flacco is wacko is not accurate, but I feel that the LA is going to crush this. Like I'm trying. Am I thinking of the wrong team? Are we having a Mandela? Are the Browns good where you are from, James and Ryan? Like, is that a thing? Because where I live, they're pretty trash. And I didn't even want to put on a Browns beanie this weekend to get into character. That's how much I'm pro Rams in this game.
Just for the sake of a clip that could potentially happen, Miles refused to put on a hat that I provided him for the live stream watch party. And honestly, hey, I kind of respect it. Speaking of which, going on to Sunday night football, y'all. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. The Packers will probably without Aaron Jones again. They've not looked great without Aaron Jones. He is out with a knee injury, very likely will not play this game. We just saw the Packers lay out a Thanksgiving Day ass whooping to the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love in the past 2 games is combined for 590 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So maybe he did have kind of like a sort of rookie learning curve for the first 5 games of the season, and he's just going to keep on progressing forward, and they're just going to kind of figure it out. And why wouldn't they? Like, the offense is kind of built for it. They have 3 young, great wide receivers on rookie contracts there, so why wouldn't they be able to start putting things together in Green Bay? The Chiefs, on the other hand, are 2-2 in their last 4 games. Their defense has been what's been carrying this team. Their offense is 11th in the NFL in offensive points per game. Their defense is 3rd in the league with points given up, so 3rd best in that statistic. The Kansas City Chiefs are 6-point favorites at Lambeau. I haven't checked the ticket prices, but I would assume the Packers are getting a little bit more excited. Still feels like the Lions are going to run away with that division. I want to bet on the Packers here so bad, them getting 6 points right here, but I don't like it enough, so I'm gonna have to lay off of it. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about the line, but I like the current team total for the Chiefs over 24.5 at even money. I think there is a possibility based on the weather forecast that it could snow, which is always good for passing teams. AKA check out Randy Moss back in the day when he had like 6 touchdowns in the snow. I think Patty Mahomes can figure it out this week. I think the Chiefs will put up a lot of points. I just don't know if the Packers might somehow trail them back and keep it close. So I like the Chiefs putting up points. I think the Packers are either going to keep stead pace or not figure it out. Either way, I just think it makes sense for a lot of points, and that's what I'm most confident in for this game.
Brilliant. Yeah, Rashee Rice also has come alive. A snow game with Patrick Mahomes to Rashee Rice. I mean, 2 Texas boys, doesn't get much better than that. I would love to see that in the snow in Lambeau. That'd be awesome to watch. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
I think give me the Chiefs and give me the over. I think
Okay.
you watched the against Oakland last week where they just basically put up 31 unanswered points after the Oakland went up 14-0. So I think the Chiefs offense will score in bunches. I think the defense is going to do a lot of work with them outside of Jaron Reed. I don't see a lot of production out of his receivers. I don't see Christian Watson having the kind of game he had last week against Detroit. I think they are going to run roughshod over this team. So take the Chiefs.
Okay.
To quote a compatriot of mine, it's a no-brainer.
Miles, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm mostly with Ryan on this. I think that the Chiefs are the clear favorite for a lot of reasons, though. I will say that Jordan Love, I think, kind of showed up a little bit more than expected here this last week. I will say, though, he's going to be tested against the Chiefs. That is not going to be an easy game for him to produce points like he did, even with the studs he's got in the routes for him. Part of me, from the story of it, I think it would be great if Jordan Love went out there and just balled out and really took it to Patrick Mahomes. We had this great, quarterback battle. It'd be beautiful against the white snow backdrop. I mean, it'd be basically a whole season of Game of Thrones. But it's for me, I think this is going to be another candidate for a potentially really great game, or it's going to be a Kansas City blowout. I think those are the only 2 options, and for that reason, I'm going to stay away from gambling on it.
Okay, moving on to Monday night, a game that looked great on paper not too long ago. Bengals are at the Jags. The game will be in Jacksonville. Burrow, of course, out for the Bengals. Bengals lost to the Steelers. The Steelers did not have Matt Canada, so you have to take that into consideration, that maybe the Steelers are just going to look a little bit better. But I doubt it. I think the Bengals are just dead in the water. I think their defense kind of made a valiant effort early on in the game and then quickly saw what Jake Browning has to offer throwing the football for them, and they just kind of like they don't have the energy to carry this team. They don't have the talent to carry this team like a couple of the defense in the league might be able to do. Bengals are just dead. The Jags, however, are not dead. They're first in their division. They did just place Cam Robinson on IR, offensive lineman, with a knee injury, so they will be without him for this game. So Trevor Lawrence might be under a little bit of pressure with 2 great pass rushers for the Bengals. The spread would indicate that the Jags are going to absolutely destroy the Bengals. If I had to lean in any direction, I would definitely lean with the Bengals side of things. 8.5 points is a lot. Down an offensive lineman, maybe Hendricks can get into that backfield and cause some trouble and maybe force a fumble, force a turnover, and that's all really you're going to need to have to cover that 8.5 point spread if you back the Bengals here. But motivationally, I think that's a massive advantage for the Jacksonville Jags. And for that reason, I'm entirely staying off it. James, what are you doing?
Well, Joe Flacco is not the only other quarterback that I have in my phone, my text.
Okay.
There is a man called A.J. McCarron who played for the St. Louis Battlehawks who is the current backup quarterback. But if we're looking at somebody who can get a ball with weapons, a man who in college once threw to Amari Cooper for 3 touchdowns in one game, it's A.J. McCarron. I think A.J. McCarron should lead this team out on Sunday, and if they do, I think the Bengals win. So I'm taking a flyer at 300 here. And if they're smart enough to start A.J. McCarron, they have the opportunity to win this game in a division where they still have the opportunity to make play. If the Cincinnati Bengals are smart, broadcast this in your locker room, start A.J. McCarron Sunday, get a W, I'm taking the plus 300.
I have heard that they do have this episode on in several locker rooms in the NFL. You know, one of those 75 views, definitely in a locker room right now.
Don't sell yourself short, dude. We could have all 30 whatever teams tuned in right now. Some of them twice.
Just NFL teams just doing their due diligence on our podcast. No, yeah, I didn't know that was a possibility. That is an NFL insider tip. I love the Battlehawks. Don't get me wrong. They're my second favorite XFL team behind the defending Arlington Renegades, okay? But yeah, if that change at quarterback might bring me from a lean to the Bengals at 8.5 to a strong lean to the Bengals at 8.5, but still not enough. Joe Burrow is a little bit different motivationally for your team, so not enough for me to get on it. But that's some great insight out of NFL insider James. Ryan Perrio, what do you think?
As someone that watched the Jaguars play last week and watched that devastating injury to Cam Robinson, they moved what's his name here? Walker Little from left guard to left tackle. And what they were saying on the broadcast is Walker Little was projected to be a tackle coming out of camp. They didn't say which tackle, but he was projected to be a tackle. So I think he's going to hold up just fine. Give me the Jags. Okay. I think the Jags, I think ETN is going to have a monster game. I think if you have ETN on your fantasy team, he's a must start. But if you're having doubts, I put that to bed. I think they're going to run all over them. See Najee Harris last week. I think they're going to put up the cover of the spread, and I think they're going to win handily. I think they looked really good outside of a couple of missteps here and there against, fourth down and with 1 second to go, try to run it in. Seemed to
I don't love offensive line shuffling, but if he was preparing to be a tackle in training camp, I guess that is a benefit to him. At least he's got a little bit of a vibe of what the team wants from him from that position. 8.5 points. If ETN is going to be the guy who wins it for the Jags, that, in my opinion, kind of makes it maybe a little bit more difficult to cover that 8.5 because they could just pound the rock and run the clock out up 7 points in the fourth quarter, and then you're just like praying that the Bengals defense stops them while they still have timeout, so the Jags are forced to kick a field goal, and that's just a sweat I'm not willing to jump on board with. So that's another reason I'm kind of off of it. Miles, what do you think?
I think, first of all, we need to go to an Arlington Renegades game before they get too good and we get priced out of tickets for those, those hot selling XFL seats.
It's not competitive.
But no, I started this broadcast with a negative 8.5 point no-brainer bet, and that's exactly how I'm going to end this podcast. Jaguars are going to cover this 8.5. Jamie, you're a madman for sweating this at all. Ryan's 100% correct. The Bengals weren't great with Joe Burrow. They're way worse without Joe Burrow. And Trevor Lawrence has actually looked like he's a capable quarterback again all of a sudden over the last few games. Ryan already mentioned ETN. At home in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is going to just – I would be tempted to still recommend this bet if it were like 13 points. I think the Jacksonville is just going to absolutely have a field day with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay. So there you have it. This has been What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes, Week 13 preview. Thank you for watching. You can follow me at JAMJKS on X. NFL Insider, Underdog God, James, not a public figure. What do you have to tell the audience?
I just want to say sorry to my bank account for the amount of Gravedigger t-shirts that I've used this week. Auburn got Auburned in Jordan Hare. The amount of times that we've had to deal with the lucky BS of Auburn, finally it lands our way. And that's 4 in a row and wins against Auburn if you're keeping record. And I do have my large glass of Auburn tears here that I'm still drinking on because there have been so much that it's able to hydrate me for the rest of the week. So shout out
salty.
to Auburn for losing at that game.
Yep, fun way to win that one. Certainly, congratulations to you and your Alabama Crimson Tide NFL insider, James. At Ryan Perrio on all social media platforms, constantly posting funny clips from his stand-up comedy. What do you have to tell the audience?
You can catch me this week at Dallas Comedy Club working with DJ Dimmers, and then next week I will be at Hyenas Fort Worth on Thursday for their 325 show. I'll be one of the 325s.
Hell yeah.
It's a long time to be on stage. Should be a fun one. Mr. Miles Francis at Mr. Most Days Off on all platforms. Thank you for coming as always. What do you have to tell the audience?
Stoked to be here as always. You can catch me this weekend at Dallas Comedy Club at the Just for Jokers show. That's this Saturday night. Or if you don't live in this area, you can catch me in like an hour in VR chat. So log into dust off your Quest 2, or if you're one of the lucky ones that got the Quest 3, let me know how that's going for you, and you can log in and watch me try to be funny as like a cucumber or a piece of broccoli or something, whatever.
What is your avatar?
I change it for every show. I kind of get a vibe of the room and try to come up with a silly joke to start out with.
And we are recording on Tuesday nights. You can catch Miles on Tuesday nights on VR most weeks. So if you're watching it in hindsight and you missed it, don't worry.
Screen cap it if you can.
Yeah.
Screen cap the avatar and just post it.
Oh, I usually do. Yeah, I like most recently. Let's see. I did one where I was like I would describe them as a knockoff of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was like a cool '90s lizard. I did one as a mushroom not too long ago. That was a good one. I was a carrot and Frankenstein for Halloween. Yeah, might do something for the holiday spirit tonight. We'll see what happens.
All right. Thank you and good night.